Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us on this beautiful Friday afternoon. My name is Greg Mantaleski. I'm the Assistant Director for Housing Assignments here at Bridgewater. Um, I have two of my colleagues who I'll just ask to wave for the moment. They'll introduce themselves in a moment. We have our Director of Residence Life and Housing, Justin McCauley, with us, as well as our Assistant Director for Residence Life, Danielle Johnson. So you'll all be hearing from them shortly. What we wanted to do is really get everybody together, get an opportunity to give you some of the basic information, answer any of your questions that you may have about living on campus this fall. We are very excited that you've decided to join us on campus next fall. This has been a strange year for everybody, so we're very excited to get back into sort of the normal swing of operations around here. We will certainly save time for questions at the end. If you have a question, if you already have a question, great. Or if you have one that comes along as we are doing the presentation today, please type it into the chat. I know we're all Zoom experts by now, but just in case, there's a little chat button at the bottom menu of your screen. Just type any question in there. And once we are done with going over our information, the remainder of the time will be us answering your questions. This presentation is being recorded, so if later tonight or tomorrow you can't remember something we said, or you want to go back and rewatch this will be on our YouTube channel next week. We'll put it out on our social media and email it out once it is uploaded, but it will be on our YouTube channel. So with that basic information, I would like to introduce our Director of Residence Life and Housing here at Bridgewater, Justin McCauley, to welcome you all.
Thank you, Greg. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Justin McCauley. As Greg said, and I'm the Director of Residence Life and Housing, and I would like to congratulate you on your acceptance into BSU, and thank you for choosing our wonderful institution as the spot for you to further your education. And whether it's yourself or you're sending a loved family member our way, we greatly appreciate it, and we look forward to working with you this upcoming fall, well, and through the summer as we lead up to the fall also. So I wanted to come on and not only welcome you, but talk a little bit about what the fall will look like and feel like as you prepare to come move in and live with other folks. We know there's probably a lot of questions as we start to emerge from the pandemic. And I'm excited to say that it's looking really good, and our plans are to operate towards our pre-pandemic standards. And so what that means is that we should be able to provide an experience that is near authentic to what students experienced before the pandemic, utilize our facilities, and offer programs and events and opportunities for socialization in a way much more in line with what folks think of when they think of the traditional college experience. And to us, that's very important, because we know oftentimes that's the part of the experience that makes the difference in this experience, is students being able to feel in community, get to know people, interact with folks different from themselves, and participate in events and activities that challenge them, that help them enjoy their time here, relax and de-stress. So we're excited for that. We're excited to be able to use our facilities to full capacity in terms of opening up some of the lounge and study and gaming spaces that our students will be able to kind of recreate and hang out in and enjoy for the fall. So we're very excited about that. The university had sent out information about requiring vaccination to everybody, and with that, as folks continue to get vaccinated, the more and more folks that are vaccinated, the safer it will be for us to operate in such a way. So you know, we're really proud of our record this past year and a half in terms of keeping our students safe, and really doing a great job of keeping our COVID numbers very low, and working with students to isolate and quarantine in situations where it was needed in a manner that did not allow for the virus to spread on our community. We were never near a point in time after we came back where we thought we would have to close down or send students away. So we know we can handle the pandemic and the worst of it, and we're excited to start to work with students as we come out of it to continue to provide a safe atmosphere for everybody, but also be able to lean into creating an environment that folks can enjoy and really grow in, and have that traditional college experience that we know that everybody wants for themselves and for their students that they're sending our way. So we're excited to answer any questions that folks have about that. There's still a lot of details that are being hammered out, especially as we work very closely with the governor's office and state government regulations. We track regularly CDC guidance. We track local health, Board of Health information. So we're making sure that we're up on all of our protocols and that we're always in line with the most recent guidance. So as you can imagine, and as folks I'm sure were paying attention to the updates from the CDC yesterday and the more than weekly updates from the governor's office. So if you're paying attention to that, then you know how fast shifting this environment is. So there will be things that we're planning and working on now that I'm sure will change and adjust as the pandemic changes and adjusts. So we'll do our best to communicate to you through environments like this, through email, on our BSU website, and through our social media, which our assistant director Danielle did a great job of already putting out there in the chat. And family members who are on here also, please feel free to follow us on social media. That's where you'll find a lot of great information, especially as we get ready to prepare for and plan for move-in day in the beginning of the school year. But welcome to BSU. We're so excited to have you living in the residence halls and start working with you on your experience living here in the fall. So thank you very much, Greg, for allowing me the time.
Thank you, Justin. As Justin said, Danielle did post our social media. We have Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. So please feel free to follow us. Make sure that you are up to date on all of the latest updates that we have. One of the great opportunities that we offer here at Bridgewater is living learning communities and some theme type housing. Excuse me. So I would like to introduce Danielle Johnson, our Assistant Director for Residence Life, who is going to discuss some of those opportunities for you.
Thanks, Greg. Hi, everyone. Want to echo Justin's sentiments. We're really excited that you all have chosen to become Bridgewater State Bears. And we are really excited to welcome you all to campus for the next school year. So we are really proud of our Living Learning Community program here at BSU. And for those of you who aren't aware, Living Learning Communities are basically a community where you can already join and have something in common with the other folks in that community. So you can move onto a floor and already have that connection with somebody who lives next door to you, which is a really great experience when you're trying to meet people, make friends, and you also get to connect with faculty as well. So Living Learning Communities are designed to give students with a particular academic focus or an interest the opportunity to live together, and students that sign up to live in the learning community get special programming and access to different resources that will help them be more successful. And like I mentioned, there are faculty partners associated with each learning community, and that is because each learning community has a 1-credit course or something similar academic-wise, where you will receive credit for it. So that will already be something on your transcript from joining a learning community, which is really great. And like I mentioned, you will get access to faculty that you might not otherwise, which is really great. Sometimes they come into the residence halls to chat with folks or are just in the know of what's going on in the community. And so that can be a really big benefit when it comes to maybe you want to do research on campus, or maybe you need recommendation letters or any of those kinds of things. So we have a couple of different learning communities that you can join. So the first is the Science and Math Learning Community, which is located in Pope Hall. We have community engagement, which is focused on community service and social justice, which is located in Wagon Hall. We have our Lavender Living Learning Community, which is for LGBTQIA students and allies, which is located in Wagon Hall. And we have Music Majors and Minors, which is located in Stonehouse Hall. We also have our honors floor. So students who are accepted into the honors program can live in a learning community with other honors students, and that is located in Scott Hall. And so, like I said, we are really excited to offer these programs. It's a really great setup. Like I said, you get to live and learn with folks who have something similar in common to you, make those connections right away, and learn from faculty who specialize in that interest area. So a really, really cool opportunity. Students who join our learning communities typically do better academically, they feel more welcome on campus, and they feel more engaged and involved in the university. So if any of those programs or topics interest you, definitely check out our website. I'll post a link in the chat so you can take a look. You can apply for learning communities right now. The application link is on the website. So feel free to take a look, like I said, and if you have any questions, you can also email us. We also have theme communities, which are different from learning communities in that they don't have an academic component. However, you still get to live with people who may have a certain interest or the same interest as you. So there are a couple of different theme communities. We have our substance-free floor or wellness floor, which speaks for itself. We have a quiet floor, which is for 24-hour quiet hours. And then we have our inclusive scholars theme community, which is an inclusive post-secondary program for young adults with intellectual or developmental disabilities, as well as folks who are interested in living and working with folks and learning about those different challenges and things like that. So like I said, I will post the link in the chat here. And oh yes, thank you, Justin. There's no additional cost for students to join LLCs or theme communities. So that is very important to know as well. So take a look at that website. And like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to email us and we will certainly get back to you on that.
All right, thank you, Danielle. So I'm going to spend the next few minutes talking about the process of what sort of the next steps that will come up over the next few months. So first of all, if you are not in the habit of checking your Bridgewater email account, please start developing that habit. All communication from our office and all communication from most other offices will start going to your Bridgewater account. So if you're checking your Gmail looking for information from us, you may not be getting it. So please start getting into that habit. If you have already paid a housing deposit, you should have received an email directing you to complete your residence hall license agreement. If you just paid your deposit today and you don't have that email yet, you will get it on Monday. Deposits process overnight, so it's always sent out the next day. The next business day, excuse me. So I want to walk through this process, but all the information I'm going to cover is in that email we send you. So I do recommend, even if you've completed your license agreement, that you save that email because it is sort of a one-stop piece of information where most housing information is located. So again, if you forget something we say, you want to double check a deadline, you have that handy in your Bridgewater email account. Okay, so license agreements are out. That part was true. So living learning community applications. It's Monday, June 14th that you can search for compatible roommates. Monday, June 14th. Friday, July 18th, your living learning applications are due, or theme housing community applications. Monday, June 21st, we will send out the decisions on whether or not you are accepted into that community. The following Monday, June 28th, graduate students and transfer students will be able to select their housing assignments. Wednesday, June 30th, students who are participating in living learning communities or theme housing will be able to select their housing assignments. And then Thursday, July 1st and Friday, July 2nd, all remaining incoming first-year students will complete their housing assignment. So you'll all select your housing assignments. We don't mail you out your assignments. You'll all go into our system to select at the assigned date. So students are randomly assigned a time on those dates. And when you form a roommate group, which again, we'll send the details later in the summer, you are able to, one person will select for the entire group. The link to our Living Learning Communities page that Danielle shared earlier, but the link to the application is also included in that email. If you are already starting to pack, if people are looking to head out to Target or things you can start looking for, we've also included a link in that email for what is allowed on campus and you should be bringing. We've also included a few items that you should be leaving at home that are not allowed on campus. So please do feel free to peruse that list in that email as well, which again, I can share in the chat here so that you can begin looking at the items that we allow in the residence halls. So having said that, including that link right there, that is all the information we wanted to provide for you. Again, it's more of an outline of what the remainder of the summer will look like and what you can anticipate for the fall. We will host periodic Zoom updates just like this. As Justin mentioned, follow our social media for updates. But the remainder of the time today really is for you. So if you have any questions, please type it into the chat. And we are happy to answer any questions that you may have. So we did get an email this morning, a student who was not able to make it today, but did have some questions. The first question being, and Justin, I'm going to ask that you take this question, please. With restrictions being lifted around the nation, will students be required to wear masks in the residence halls next year?
That's a very good question, and that's one of those late breaking news and decisions are being made. In fact, I know that there were meetings occurring this afternoon where reactions to that were being discussed. And I guess I'll start with our university has been very conservative in leaning in towards the side of safety in all aspects of the pandemic. So at this moment, in at least as far as the indefinite future that I'm aware of, mask wearing both indoors and outdoors is occurring on campus. Now, I'm sure that will continue to be evaluated as they react to this guidance from the CDC, but also react to guidance based off of vaccination rates and all the other information kind of related to that as it goes through. So I would expect from both the university, but then also our department, continued updates on the specifics of the if this then that scenarios. Because as folks continue to get vaccinated, that should impact the ability, knowing that we'll have the majority of everybody when they come in being completely vaccinated and ready to go. So we suspect that will kind of change things and impact, but there will be guidance, probably something similar to what the CDC itself provided in terms of the example with, in this case, yes, in this case, no, that'll help students to navigate that as we go forward. But we're hopeful, the hope is to try to get back to as pre-COVID normal as possible in that, but those communications and information will keep coming.
Thank you, Justin. The other question that the student who emailed us asked is, at what point in the summer will we be getting details about move-in? And that's another great question. We're still hammering out the details of our move-in process. Traditionally, our move-in weekend has been the weekend before classes start. So classes start this year on Wednesday, September 1st. So our traditional move-in is the weekend of August 28th. So we've had some questions about people needing to plan family events and things like that. For the moment, we're telling everyone to just use that weekend as your guide. We may offer some additional opportunities earlier in that week, but we don't have those details finalized yet. But the second that we do, we will send out information to the campus community so that you are aware of anything you need to know about our move-in process. I see we've had a few questions come in. Danielle, would you be able to talk a little bit about the Community Engagement LLC?
Sure can. So you can also find more information about all of the learning communities on the website. They each have their own separate page that kind of talk a little bit more about them. But I'm happy to talk about the Community Engagement Living Learning Community here. So the Community Engagement Living Learning Community is co-sponsored by the Community Service Center and the Martin Richard Institute for Social Justice. And basically, I mentioned earlier, it has a focus on social justice and community service through the lens of community engagement. So students will participate in class discussions and activities that help develop understanding of different ways that you can actively participate in your community and create positive social change. So there are some learning outcomes for the Community Engagement LLC that are listed on the website. And then it kind of talks a little bit about what the class is like. And this could be changing from year to year. So it might look a little bit different this year than what is currently listed here. But if you have any questions, Jennifer Thibodeau is the faculty partner for the Community Engagement Living Learning Community. I am going to put that link in the chat so you can check that out and get more information right there.
Thank you, Danielle. So the next question that came up is which residence halls are designated for first-year students? First-year students typically live in Shea or Durgan Hall, Woodward Hall, Scott Hall, and Pope Hall. Pope is kind of a half returning student, half first-year student community. Are there any single rooms for first-year students? We have very few single rooms in our first-year residence halls. We always tell everyone that they should anticipate having at least one roommate. We have a good number of doubles, triples, and quad rooms. So there'd be four people per room. If you do feel you need a single for a medical reason, the university does have a process that you can submit that request through, and we have a committee of staff that review that and will get back to you. So you can find that on our website. Danielle, would you be able to type our website in for everyone into the chat?
Already did.
Perfect. And just go to our forms section and look for the housing exceptions process. Okay, so next question is about graduate students living on campus. So Bridgewater has only provided graduate student housing on campus for about 2 years now. So it's still a relatively new endeavor, especially since this past year, our campus population was extremely limited, so we did not have many graduate students. Graduate students, we do tend to cluster graduate students together, so they do not typically live in any of our living learning communities or themed communities. However, if you are interested in participating in the class, we'd be happy to accept that request and discuss with the faculty partner. It's rare that the faculty partners would turn down a student who's interested. So if that is something you're interested in, please let us know. We're happy to connect you. As far as additional groups for graduate students to join, Justin, Danielle, do you have any information on that? We may need to connect you with our Center for Student Engagement, who handles all of our sort of outside clubs and activities, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
There is a graduate student association, but I guess what I would also say is, and I was glad to hear that after not living on campus in the undergrad, that you want to live on campus and engage, that you would not be the only graduate student in that situation. We do have graduate students live on campus, and there's not necessarily a disambiguation between events and organizations for graduate students versus undergraduates. Certainly there's spaces where you can do that, but also all of the student activities, events, programs are for everybody. So you can certainly participate in any of those events or student clubs and organizations also, and I would encourage that.
Thank you, Justin. I'm actually going to ask you to take on the next question as well. How long are parents on campus with students for move-in day? Do parents need to get an off-campus hotel? Is it a weekend-long process or just a few hours traveling from Wisconsin?
Ooh, well, welcome all the way out there in Wisconsin. So certainly move-in for you would look different than the majority of students moving in terms of the travel and timing and whatnot. And we'll certainly be willing to communicate with you and work on that as most students moving in will be moving in from, within an hour or so from campus. So we understand that they can be a little bit more nimble in their process, but move-in is one of the things that we're still kind of hammering down and figuring out in terms of the safe way to do it in a, emerging from the COVID pandemic process. But what I can say is that each new students and returning will have a move-in date and time where they're said, when they're told like this is when you can come to move in. You will have control over signing up for which date and time frame you're coming on, so that you can plan travel and such around that. And so depending upon what your thoughts are on staying nearby and being a part of the process, we'll allow for these time slots, a couple hours for students to move their belongings in and settle and have their helpers be there to help them. And then we'll certainly highlight and prescribe some both on-campus and off-campus activities and spaces that folks should visit or enjoy or utilize to say their goodbyes, whether over a lunch or a dinner or however you choose to do that. We are mindful of, and what we're trying to figure out is how many folks can we maintain in our spaces safely, in probably not to the same way we're doing now, but still in a de-densified timeline, mindful of that. Yes, we'll know about our students and our folks directly related to the university in terms of their vaccination status and in those pieces, but we won't always know that about family and helpers. So we're trying to mitigate and limit and be careful in our planning in terms of keeping it as safe as possible in that. So we'll send out further guidance as we continue to build that process. But I guess in terms of for folks to utilize some kind of anchor points for your planning, classes will start on Wednesday, September 1st. So move-in processes will be occurring for new students and returning students over a handful of days before that. Which one specifically we're still trying to hammer down, but we know for sure we'll be utilizing minimally the 29th through the 31st. It'll probably extend out a bit further than that. How far is what the question will be, how many more days above that, and that's going to depend upon how much we're able to extend university services to make sure that we can appropriately welcome, greet, and safely bring in students and their families, and support folks to help move them in, and have the necessary university services and staffing there to provide those services in that type of way. But just know during that stretch of time, you'll be able to select a move-in day in a move-in time frame. And certainly if you want to stay in the area after that date or before and after that date, you can utilize that. And certainly we have a public campus, so you can come to campus, but the question might be which spaces, and in terms of the residence hall specifically, we would be allowed to have non-student guests in that space for that period of time. So we'll continue to communicate that as that becomes more clear to us.
Thank you, Justin. So Danielle posted our website, and if you go to our website, you will see our residence halls link, where you can see pictures of some of our residence halls, answer some basic questions. So if you're just curious what some of our residence halls look like, or want to start exploring some options before we get into the room selection process, feel free to do so. A few other fun facts about living on campus. A few years ago, we implemented a laundry fee, which includes the use of laundry on campus. So you don't need to hunt for quarters or look for a change in between the couch cushions or anything like that. So all students pay a fee up front, and laundry can use the laundry machines in the residence halls as much as they need. All students will be issued a Connect card that looks just like this. That will not only get you access to your residence hall, your direct room, it'll act as your library card, your meal plan will be on there. So you always need to have this with you. So if you're prone to losing things, get one of those little things you can put on the back of your phone or something like that to keep it safe, because you'll need your Connect card with you at all times. Are there any other questions that we can answer for you? Explain how the search for compatible rooms works. Sure. So we offer that roommate matching questionnaire, where we ask questions like, how do you like to study? Do you like to study with music on or in complete silence? What time do you go to bed? What time do you wake up? Any of those basic lifestyle questions that can make a difference in a roommate matching. We ask students, and then when that process opens up, you'll be able to go in to search for the criteria that's important to you. So we ask, I believe it's about 12 questions about your lifestyle, and then you can go in and decide which ones are the most important to you. If you are somebody who likes to wake up early and get a start to the day, so if you're up at 6 a.m., for example, perhaps a roommate that goes to bed at 4 a.m. may not be the best pairing for you. So you need to make a decision on which ones are important to you. And as students complete their roommate matching questionnaire, that's part of their license agreement, you'll be able to log into our database and search for compatible roommates. So again, we ask about 12 questions. You can pick one or two that are most important to you, and you'll be able to get people who match that criteria so that you can send the messages through our system to see if that would be a good pair. And then ultimately, once we get into the roommate matching process, you'd be able to form a roommate group together, which again, we're going to send you a lot more details on that as the summer moves on. You're welcome. Are there any other questions that we can answer for anybody? All right, well, we will stay here for a few more minutes if anybody has any additional questions. Please follow us on social media. Please check your Bridgewater email. Again, if that's not a habit that you're in yet, please make that a habit. And we'll host different Zoom calls as the summer moves on and as each step of our process gets closer to answer any questions that you have. If any other questions come up, please email us, call us. A good portion of our staff were working remotely, but we'll have staff on campus that will answer questions, answer emails Monday through Friday. So please don't hesitate to call us. If you have a situation that's very personal to you that you'd like to discuss with us, again, feel free to call us or email one of us, and we're happy to provide you the right direction with different resources on campus. If no additional questions are there, though, thank you again for joining us. And we were excited to see you in August. So we do have kitchens available in every residence hall. And we do have some kitchen equipment that students can check out with the building staff. So if that's what you mean by stocked, yes. We don't provide any sort of grocery items or food pantry items in the residence halls, but we do have kitchen equipment that can be used to make something. Yes. You're welcome. Thank you again for joining us. So we do have a few pictures on our website, and we do have, we're working on some videos that we'll release in the next, Danielle, I'm looking at you because I know you were part of that. Is that month or so? Would that be fair to say?
Yeah. So during orientation, you'll be able to view a couple of videos that will show us, will show you what a couple of our residence halls do look like. And you can also see some pictures on our website currently that give you a little bit of an idea of what those halls look like.
Thank you, Danielle.